One of my favorite records called Money Trees off of Kendrick Lamar's Good Kid, Mad City album. I produced it with the sample Silver Soul by Beach House. With this particular one, I as soon as I heard it, I just liked the sound of the crackly sound in the beginning and just like the way we kind of built in. I tried a couple little things chop-wise, but I was like, yo, I just like the sound. I don't want to break it up, so let me just try to reverse it. The idea behind reverse records being this satanic, devilish, experience is straight, ridiculous. If they hear something that they don't understand or something that sounds foreign, people are quick to claim it as, bad.
Me and my niggas tryna get it, yeah bitch. Yeah bitch. Hit that house, they tell me is you with it, yeah bitch. Yeah bitch. Home invasion was persuasive. From 9 to 5, I know it's vacant, yeah bitch. Yeah bitch. Dreams of living life like
Kendrick, when we first started talking about Damn, we started to just literally just have man-to-man conversations about, the Bible. And I think we just kind of came to the conclusion where it's like, at least what we've been taught, at least from, even me going to church and we're all sinners. We are still beings of the physical, the flesh and bone. Like we still have needs and desires that we can't even explain. You're damned if you do, damned if you don't. So you might as well just do you. All those conversations created a narrative for this album. When I first heard 24 Karat, that part was like, oh, that's the best part to me in the record. I had the original sample came from Boy Soundwave. It's a sample reversed chop slash. It's like all the elements I talked about earlier of just like chop, reverse, melody, loop, kind of all comes together on that particular thing. It's like almost like a coded language. Like you gotta dig a little bit to kind of figure out how we did it. Kendrick gave it to me, he was like, the way you chop the sample was really dope, and you mess around with it. And I started just mumbling our melodies and I like this kind of like energy, geeked up, fired. I like that pattern. And he was like, yo, that's dope, that's really dope. Let me write the lyrics and you just sing it.
I said I'm geeked and I'm fired up.
And it's funny, at first I was like, I just thought it was gonna be a reference. I was like, okay, keep it as a reference. You can see if you can get someone else to sing it, whatever. I wouldn't say we all have demo-itis, but when you first hear something, it's something about that first idea that sticks with you. The first voice you hear on the record is my vocals.
I said I'm geeked and I'm fired up. All I want tonight is just get higher.
Sampling records to me is like a really dope thing because it's like digging for gold, and you find that nugget and it's like, oh wow, this is dope. This sounds fresh. I want to kind of break sound. I want to break the barrier of like what people are kind of used to and say like, oh, I want to give you this. It's all about kind of the texture.
When I saw this video, man, that shit, I don't know, man. There's something about music, man. That shit just does something to my soul. I was about to say something mad sexual, but y'all probably thought I was gonna be weird as fuck. Fuck it, man. When I saw how he reversed that shit, like the Money Tree sample, that shit, I think it's gonna be like, what the fuck are you on? My ducks, my swans, welcome to the pond. My name is Dorian from Group82Music.com. Right here we got DJ Dahi talking about how he breaks down his samples for Kendrick Lamar. Money Trees, man, it's an amazing song. And if you listen to what he said, man, like he played the original sample, then he reversed it, he flipped it. Hang down, flip it, and reverse it. I always have been fascinated with producers when they do that because it adds a totally different texture and feel to that sound. And that is something that, If you're getting stuck in the studio and the beat might not be something that you really are connecting with, you feel like there's something there, but it's not coming out yet. Like take one of the melodies or take the sample or take a sound that is going one direction and reverse it and see what happens, man. Because it adds something there that can have you almost, you're rapping against the grain, right? As opposed to rapping with it. Like when you listen to Kendrick's Money Trees, he's rapping in a negative space, but he's rapping against the grain a little bit. As opposed to when you listen to the original sample, if he'd have just rapped on that, he would just went with it. And so that's what makes the song so dope, because it almost turns into a call and response. Everything that he's saying in the song makes sense for the story, but it makes it extremely memorable without it sounding too robotic or like he's hitting the 80s flow. That's why that song is so dope. And then J-Rock's verse is crazy. And when you listen to what he did with Loyalty, like, people always think about samples. You gotta be taking a bunch of old shit. But 24 Karat Magic was one of the biggest songs ever. Success of a song don't matter with the sample, but if you hear something dope in a current song, take that shit and flip it. There's a lot of dope ass records that are out right now that if you took that shit and flip it, it can sound really dope. And that's what he did with Loyalty. Also, he talked about his reference tracks. Like, I make reference tracks for every single song that I do. And sometimes the reference tracks I make, I'm like, man, that shit sounds amazing. We need to keep it just like that. And sometimes it sounds fucking terrible. For my song, She Like That, I released every single reference track to She Like That on Spotify. So you literally can go through and listen and see, I think it's like 13 reference tracks on Spotify for She Like That. It's like an album, but it's 13 tracks. So you can literally hear how I started and then how the song ended up. Like I sang Selena's part and everything, you know what I mean? So reference tracks to me are extremely important. That's why I gotta write. That's why I don't understand how niggas can't write, because if you don't write, how the fuck do you know what you're coming up with? You know what I mean? Like you are literally just relying on that one take or two takes or three takes in order to get the sound that you truly want. As opposed to when you have a reference track, you can rehearse, you can practice, right? And then that way when you come to the studio, now the engineer already knows what's there. If you have a producer, they already know what's there. And now y'all can creatively collaborate for something that's extremely dope. This is stuff you got to be thinking about, man, when you're making music. And this is how serious I've taken music. And I've always taken it this serious from the very beginning. And that's why, like, when people be talking to me about, hey, man, how do I get my songs on Spotify? Hey, man, like, why don't you talk about lyrics? Or why don't you be judging people's music? Or why do y'all add anybody to the playlist? Because listen, I take this shit fucking serious, man. Like, when I'm fucking creating, I create in a very, very serious, methodical way where there's still organized chaos, which I've talked to y'all about before. I'm not about to judge how you create your songs. And I'm looking at all this stuff and I'm adding elements to see what works for me. So who am I to tell you that something doesn't work for you or it sounds terrible? I don't know. We let the market decide that. And how do we let the market decide that? Through playlists. When you get your song added to playlists, the market's gonna tell you if they feeling it or not. And that's why we got our permanent Spotify playlist placement. That's originally $249. Now it's $9.99, less than $10. So if you got a song that you need to see what people feel about it, now is the time to see what people feel about it. You can click the link in the bio. It's going to get added to the playlist and you can see how people feel. It's only $10. The hell you got to lose. You know what I mean? So that's why I don't be judging folks' music. Everybody's creative process is different. Everybody's creative process is damn near sacred. The fact that these producers are giving us insight to this is crazy. So who am I to judge? Who are you to judge? We let the market judge. They'll tell you what's dope or not. So if you're ready to hear if your song's dope or not, click that link in the bio and get your $249 Spotify playlist placement that's permanent for $9.99. I'm out the pond. Y'all stay true.
Group82music.com.